So Patrick, be honest with me. You really believe this story? I mean, no offense, I know, but Osama bin Laden?
Yeah.
What part convinced you?
Her confidence.
That's the kind of concrete data point I'm looking for. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Maya, I wanted you to hear it first.
You know anything we talked about?
It's gonna happen.
When?
Tonight.
And action.
A clip from Zero Dark 30 starring Jessica Chastain. Delighted to say the director Kathryn Bigelow is with us. Kathryn, welcome to the programme. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very good, and thank you.
It's good. We had you on the programme for Hurt Locker,
Yes.
which is a couple of years ago, and that was a fun interview, as it turns out, which was an odd thing. Mark?
Well, I just remember that it did descend into laughter, which was peculiar considering the subject matter.
Well, that was, sadly the result of a very, very, very long day and weeks and weeks of press. And I think I sort of lost my concentration, and I apologize.
No. It was it was great.
No, I prefer to think of it that you suddenly thought you were in such safe and competent hands that you could relax entirely.
That
and
too.
That was what it was. I think those were the words that you were struggling to find just then.
Yes.
So Zero Dark 30, a lot of people will have read lots of stuff. A lot of people will have formed an opinion about the film without even seeing it. Tell us what we need to know before we go any further, Kathryn.
Well, a few things. I would say that arguably the war on terror has affected people all over the world, and especially families of 9/11 and the first responders and the military intelligence professionals. And I think I felt honored and humbled to tell their story, and that decade was a very long, dark one, certainly in my opinion, and I hope that we shine a bit of a light on that period of time.
So it's the story of the hunt for Osama bin Laden. Obviously, you were making another movie. The plan was to make a movie about the failed attempt to find Osama bin Laden. Then he was killed and captured. And what was happening with you at that time?
Well, we were working on it kind of the first assault into Tora Bora after 9/11. It occurred on December 6th and went through December 18th of 2001. And Tora Bora is sort of the name of the mountain range in Afghanistan where Osama bin Laden was found in a 2-square-mile grid. I believe there was a visual on him, at least that's as the information reports. And then he escaped out the back door to Pakistan. And we were working on that film about 2/3 of the way through the screenplay when May 1st, 2011 happened. And so I'd say history necessitated a rather sizable pivot. And at first we thought, well, this is going to be a different last act. And then Mark went off to DC and began reporting the story. And of
This
course,
is Mark Bowl. Mark
Bowl, the screenwriter, the incredible screenwriter of this film. And he went to DC, began reporting the story, and the intelligence hunt was so complicated and inherently dramatic, and that became the emphasis of the piece.
How long did you have to turn this whole thing around? Because my understanding is you were editing just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I only started shooting February 29th, 2011. So it was extremely recent, extremely fast. And we didn't have long to turn it around. I mean, we really felt that there was a kind of innate urgency and a timeliness that gave the whole piece a sort of urgency, and I think it also informed the performances. There was a sort of a sense of immediacy in the story unfolding as we were shooting it. I know I was shooting the raid on May 1st, 2011. May 1st, 2012, and it was in the middle of the night because we're shooting at night, and looking around at my cast and crew, and we all sort of realized that this event that we were reenacting had only occurred 1 year prior. So there was a kind of a real sense of timeliness, I suppose, and it did definitely inform the performances.
What do you know about the real-life character that Jessica Chastain's character is inspired by or based on?
Well, there's actually an interesting article in the Washington Post fairly recently about a character that may or may not be her, but I think you can speak about the women and the men in the intelligence community, but there's a certain kind of, obviously acute intelligence, a drive, a tenacity, a dedication, and a commitment in the face of almost impossible odds. And of course, and those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, great sacrifice that they've made. So that my takeaway, and I think what emotionally sort of pulled me through both the production and the film itself is a kind of a portrait of dedication and determination, and that sort of emotional connection to that drive, and to humanize that for the audience.
When I first saw the film, I hadn't read any press about it, and I thought it was terrific, and I was gripped, and I'm a big fan of your filmmaking anyway. Then all these stories hit the press about, the film justifies or glorifies torture, and I was genuinely shocked by them. And I went back to watch the film again, thinking, did I miss something? And I watched the film again and thought, no, this is absurd. The film depicts torture quite clearly, but the accusations that have been made against you are fearsome. I mean, really quite vitriolic. How do you respond to them, and how do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, it's been, I have to say, extremely surprising. And because exactly, I mean, we were trying to capture the essence of this decade, and capturing the essence in a way that would stand the test of time. And had we omitted the harsh tactics, that would have been whitewashing history. It was definitely a part of that past, but there were many, many, many tactics that resulted in finding the compound in Abbottabad, and especially the irony is that the critical piece of information was found unfortunately it's a bit of a spoiler, but the critical piece of information was in the files all along since 2001. So it was an extraordinary accumulation of pieces and dead ends and zigs and zags that ultimately arrived at Abbottabad. And I would say no one tactic was effective, nor would we ever know that you could have arrived at the compound without having utilized some of the harsh tactics. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real desire to oversimplify, and some people want a very clean black and white takeaway, and it's extremely complex, and I am assuming it'll be debated for years and years and years to come. And as a filmmaker, arguably having perhaps stimulated this conversation, I think that's what it just is a testament to the power of the medium. I think that's what filmmaking can do is stimulate an important debate. And if we're not discussing it, if we're not staring it in the face, we're relegated to repeat it.
I can't see how anyone would come out of the movie thinking that it glorifies torture in any way, shape or form. But
Nor can I. I mean, that's a mystery to me.
But the essence of what you're saying then is that amongst all the procedures that we used to find the information, torture was there at the start in the early days, and that it might have produced some information which was already in the domain of the intelligence gathering services. Is that right?
Well, I mean, there's a great book that actually articulates it beautifully, Mark Bowden's The Finish. And so that actually is a great reference for it. And I think that, again, could we have arrived at Abbottabad without utilizing harsh tactics? I don't know. You kind of have to reverse engineer it, and I don't know if that's possible. But certainly my hope is we can, look at those policies and relook at the policies, and I see it as an opportunity to, again, to ensure that that history doesn't repeat itself.
I wonder if it's the morally neutral tone that you take, which is the thing that's infuriating people. And there's a particular scene where Jessica Chastain and her colleagues are sitting around a table, and on the television, President Obama comes on and says, "America doesn't do torture," or words to that effect. And they all stop and they watch. and they don't comment. And in fact, my recollection is they don't even visually react to what they're hearing. Then they just carry on. And everyone is wanting them presumably to go, oh, really? Oh, this has changed, or what's he talking about? Or we're in trouble or something like that. But you don't get them to react in any way.
Well, I'll just say there was a very interesting op-ed where someone describes a movie as a kind of reverse Rorschach, and that your takeaway often is what you don't want to see. And yet he goes on to argue that it's very important to see and to, kind of come face to face with, some of the facts of our past. And he also argues for the ambiguity of it, that allows it kind of complements the audience, that the audience is, smart enough to make their own opinion, and that there's a real value in that rather than having one's agenda imposed on another.
Kathryn, what's next for you?
Oh, I don't know. I think a break. I haven't really stopped since we started shooting.
Come on, so no ideas at all?
No.
A blank canvas.
A blank canvas. Fear of the blank canvas.
Very good.
What do you say, Mario?
Well, I said more vampires, but then she said fear of blank canvas, which I thought was a funnier gag than vampires. So I think we should end on that, frankly.
Kathryn, we appreciate your time with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.